name is Naomi Hayes. I was born here in Alice Springs. My family have connections to Arunda, Western Arunda, Kadich, Amajida, and also Groot Island. I have 4 beautiful daughters. My second daughter is Shaniqua. She is 19. She is now in year 12. Shaniqua got a late diagnosis of autism, selective mutism, and a total right ear hearing loss. There are also indications of an intellectual disability as well. Getting a diagnosis for Shani was like a mission. I was sounding like a broken down record, talking to psychologists, educators, teachers, pediatricians, occupational therapists, speech pathologists, audiologists, you name it, I went through it all. So the journey with Shani started when she was in preschool. I noticed that when she was a toddler, there were differences in her abilities according to age developmental stages. She had the normal physical developmental milestones, walking, sitting and crawling, but then she had sensory issues as well, and she wasn't communicating with us, she wasn't talking, so I knew something wasn't right then. So, how does my girl communicate? Well, myself and my family, we know Shani like a book. We can read her like a book. So she doesn't talk, she rarely talks. She will say yes or no and answer simple questions. But most of the time we have to read Shani's body language, her facial expressions, even little things that she does, like when she gets frustrated, like when she does this. I know that she wants something, but she's processing that information in her head and she can't get it out. So I know that I just have to give her thinking time, and she wants to ask me a question. So I will model that and I'll ask her, Shani, what do you want? And then eventually she'll let me know after I've given her thinking time. So how does my child socialise? Well, when Shani was little, she socialised by going to parties and going to festivals and things like that, but she still didn't talk. She had her little close friends around her that knew Shani, and they took care of Shani. I was grateful that she had good little friends. But then as time went on through to high school, she didn't have friends anymore. She had peers. You know, the kids are growing up now, finding out about themselves, and I think that's when my daughter realised that she was different, when she came home one day and said she didn't have any friends. And it broke my heart. And I told her, my baby, I will always be your friend. You have your sisters. But now I get to the point now, I want my daughter to know how to be a friend. To read the social cues, like she doesn't even know how to go up to someone and say hi and talk about things. She can't understand that. So sometimes I feel a bit sad, but I know now that she's on the right track because of all the technology available, and technology she just loves. She's got her own DeviantArt page, sharing her art, and thank goodness for Facebook, because now I can actually talk to my child through Messenger. She will not answer any calls or talk, but I know if I write in that message to my girl, I will get a response from her. So, how does my child behave? One thing that stuck with Shani throughout her journey, from preschool to year 12 now, is the fact that I have to walk her into the classroom and wait until she's settled every morning. If that doesn't happen, Shani won't go to school. There have also been times when she has a history of going to school one day and taking that next day off just to process what happened the day before, and just to have a rest from all the noise, the teenagers screaming, the kids running around playing sport back in high school. All that activity, all that sensory stuff was too much. So I had to allow one day on, one day off, one day on, one day off. But then I realised that wasn't fair either. So we came up with other strategies for Shani. And now she's going to school most days, but she has to have her tablet with her earphones on. That's something that hasn't changed as well. cope with her environment. When she was smaller, my girl would hate, she would despise loud, sudden noises. She would be terrified. She would just cover her ears and just run into the room or wherever we were, run into a safe place, what she thought was safe. Now that she's a bit older, she uses the earphones to block out all that noise. But another thing that really bothers my girl is when she's in social situations and a group of young teenagers at school or something, they could be just, you know how teenagers are, they have their little muck around and play fight, and you know, sometimes they can use an aggressive tone. Well, my daughter doesn't like that, and if she sees someone, I don't know, getting like into an argument and that, she will turn around and tell that group of people to stop. She doesn't like it and to be quiet. And most of the times the reaction that she'd get from that group of people is total shock, because it was probably the first time that she's ever spoken to them and it was so clear. But at least I know my girl can communicate when things are tough. Learn. How does my child learn? My child is a visual learner. So, for example, at home, when we're watching TV, she will put the subtitles on. So even though she's got hearing loss in her right ear, she can still read and listen to what's happening on the TV. Relating to school, the staff have realised now to break things down for Shani. So for an assignment or a piece of work, it has to be broken out into small steps, like step 1, step 2, or step 3, or even the language. First, next, then. And another thing that I'd like to share with you guys is my girl, she's a great reader. She loves to read. So after 10 years of appointments, questionnaires, forms, meetings, and observations, I got my diagnosis. I didn't give up. And that's the message I'd like to share with all you parents and carers out there today. Don't give up. Your passion and your love and your dedication and the sacrifices you make for your child will pay off through all the intervention that you are seeking, all the health and all the education requirements that your child needs to be successful and happy.